Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
I know that you have 14 years of experience in the event industry, and you have found like this specific niche between business to business and kind of bars and smaller things. So thank you so much for joining with LB Event Consultants.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to talk to you. It's
Yeah,
nice to see you.
I know. Yeah. So we actually met doing an event too. So that was fun. You guys had
Right.
you had an awesome event. I got to play your event and it was really, really pretty.
Yes, and everyone's still talking about the dueling pianos. That was a
Yeah.
massive hit.
Awesome. I love to hear that. Sounds like we need to do it again. We're going to
I
do
know.
every year, birthday every
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not milestones anymore, just every year.
I love it. Yeah, we had a great time. And one of the things that like stands out to me at that event is, you do events, we do events. So, we see a lot of the same things.
Mhm.
What I don't see every event is people pick other people up on chairs and carry them around the room, especially in their like 80s,
70.
70s.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
yes.
Regardless.
We just, the party really got down and you were a huge part of it. It was, the goal, it was a 70th birthday party. So obviously the average age of attendees was probably in the 75 to 80-year-old range. So the music component was really, really important. Like we went back and forth between trying to hire either a band or a DJ. And what we realized is we needed something interactive, and you guys just knocked it out of the park. The birthday boy got on the mic, sang
Yeah.
Ring of Fire, so it really turned up.
Yeah. I turned up with Ring of Fire. I remember that. I think he sang more than once. I think we played that song a
Probably.
couple
Yes,
times that
probably.
night.
Yeah, it was an open bar, so who knows?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Awesome. So just some stuff that, we can talk through that I'm curious what you're seeing. So what are like some current trends that you're seeing in the wedding and event industry? I know that right before we started the recording, we were talking about people coming back and starting to book weddings kind of in the July, August time and December and all that.
Right, right. Well, the event market typically, at least in Los Angeles, slows down drastically, I would say, between June through August, just because, in the summer months, it's really hard to get attendees to commit to events given travel schedules and whatnot. So now that we are mid-August, what I'm really seeing is just a ramp up in inquiries for holiday parties. That's definitely the hottest thing right now that people are talking about. And holiday parties are interesting because they sort of start in November and some of them go through January. So that's like a season in itself. And it's just always really fun to talk about holiday parties with people. They really get to see their colleagues cut loose, which is, special for the workplace, as you can imagine. The other trend I'm seeing, which is really funny and interesting, is with the mitzvah market and the location of events. So bar and bat mitzvahs, I would say traditionally occurred in hotel ballrooms or in people's homes or at synagogues. And now the location has switched to nightclubs. So we have 12 and 13-year-olds.
What?
Yeah, in nightclubs. And it's interesting to think about it from a budget perspective, because when you have an event like that at a synagogue or a ballroom or a private residence, you essentially have to bring everything in.
Yeah.
And what people have started to realize is with nightclubs, everything is there. They have a bar, they have a DJ booth, they have a sound system, they have a lighting system, they have confetti if you want to do a confetti blast. So we have done some really, really cool and creative things. And the very special thing about nightclub mitzvahs is that the kids can leave by 9:30 or 10 p.m. and then the nightclub can open for service that same night. And so it's lucrative
Oh, wow.
on their end as well. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is like what you're talking about with your business to business kind of filling that gap that bars and stuff see. Wow, that's crazy.
I
Would have
know.
never
I
thought.
know. I know.
Wow.
So we've done, I've done creative things, obviously bottle service with Manischewitz and, just non-alcoholic mocktails. It's super fun though. It's a blast.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is, I I would have never expected that. That's wild. Cool. So, with talking about events and like things that you've seen in the industry, this is my favorite question in every interview.
Okay.
What is the most cringeworthy thing that you hate to see at events?
Oh boy. This is gonna have to be a song selection, and I hope I'm not breaking anybody's heart, but I cannot stand the song Sweet Caroline, and I'm sure you
Oh,
can
we
agree.
talked about this. Yeah.
So I just if there are special circumstances. I have actually done a bat mitzvah for a young girl named Caroline, so that was appropriate and I appreciated that. However, for whatever reason, that song being designated as the party anthem is instant red flag for me. I want to choose my words carefully here because I've had clients really want that song and I don't want to, offend them, but I loathe that. And, Neil Diamond can come after me. I just don't think it's a good song.
I think this is one of these like industry protected things where I am not allowed to say things about this because I have been told that many times that I'm not allowed to talk about my like or apparent dislike for that song. But I love to hear it. I think
Yes.
that is such a great and interesting opinion about song selection. Yeah, yeah,
I'm hoping that the
gosh,
younger generations just don't even know that song is really how I feel about it. And you, I know,
I
agree. I
don't.
know you agree. I know you agree.
I think, there it's interesting because I've tried to like make assumptions and guesses on like, ooh, this is gonna be the new whatever song with like whatever generation. And it doesn't seem like it really goes that way. It really seems like the old standards just continue on and keep hitting. And it's crazy
Oh
because I'm like,
yeah.
really? You guys, you really, that's it? That's the one you want? Like,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have anything from your generation? And it's not any particular generation, it's just like all of them.
Right, right. But I will say on the music front, like you can't go wrong with any Motown hits. I feel like that is a portfolio of music that can get any party really excited and up and running, and it's just generally crowd pleasing music.
Yeah. There's a lot of great songs and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and yet people continue to pick you
Sweet
know,
Caroline,
a
which is
handful.
not.
Personally, I the other ones that are really common, I really I enjoy and I think they're great. But that one is a special time at every event, and I can't believe
I
I
know you
forgot
don't
all
like
about
it.
this.
I know you don't like it. You don't have to say it. I will say it for you. You are in the music space, and I know you don't like it. You don't have to say it, but just know that
We
I know.
all love it. It's our
Yeah.
favorite song.
Yeah.
It's our favorite song. Okay, so other than that, what's like a really fun, not nightclubs, not Sweet Caroline, not happening at events, but like what's another really fun thing that you've seen at weddings or the private events, birthdays? What's like a unique idea?
The activations at any type of party, in my opinion, are key. And this goes beyond, a photo booth. I think that if you have something that just really engages your guests, it's a good takeaway. It's something that the party goers will be talking about for days and months to come. And I would say, recently I've really leaned into the mentalist space. I have like 3 or 4 contacts. They're regulars at the Magic Castle and they're mentalists slash magicians. And they are, like David Copperfield level talent. And it's mind blowing. So I would say, having somebody like that roaming a party and just really blowing away guests. And I'm talking, you need somebody who has real talent because I know you've seen this, I've seen this because we're in the event space, but when you have somebody who's like not that good, it just, you start to feel bad for them. It's like seeing a bad comedian, and it makes it so uncomfortable. But if you can find somebody at the top of their league in the like mentalist space, I would even say like tarot card readers are amazing. It's really, really key to have that guest engagement. And if you can
Yeah.
find notch talent, it's a slam dunk.
I mean, I would take, just to expand on what your thoughts are, my personal thoughts on events with that, to add to that is that I think a lot of people choose to spend money on things for events that I don't think give them the return that they are really thinking, because it's like tradition. Like, for weddings, we spend so much money on flowers that are gone in the
I
4
know.
hours, and I had someone that was talking to me about this, and they were like, when you're considering events and considering what you're spending money on, the difference per person, like we think about food in a per person, like it's $200 a plate or $100 a plate or whatever.
Mhm.
If you think about other vendors in the same way, especially like talent wise, it's like, oh, well, we could get the $500 DJ and it costs us $10 a person or something. I'm not great at math. I play piano, but you get a $500 DJ, or you get the $5,000 dueling pianos or the mentalist or whatever. Or even if you're looking at smaller numbers, 4,000 to 5,000 or whatever it is, the change in per person price, a lot of times between those options that people field is really low. It feels
Yeah.
large, but it's like, oh, you're going to spend an extra 5, 10, 15, $20 per person on this huge event. And I think that those are the places that you really find guest enjoyment and like success in the party, is getting those higher tier interactive based activations, vendors, whatever you want to call it, because the difference between like what you said, like a magician that doesn't, really do this and someone that does on a really high level is going to be a huge enjoyment difference, and people are going to
Yeah.
remember it differently. And it's like, oh, it's additional $10 per person,
Yeah.
it's
I
crazy.
couldn't I couldn't agree more. And the events that I've planned and executed have run the gamut. And one thing that I always just go back to is it's like there can be so much pomp and circumstance with some events, but if you're not engaging with your guests and making an event truly reflective of the host, it's just another night out. And it doesn't leave a lasting impression. And, I couldn't agree more with the florals. Florals are incredible. I love flowers, but I don't think that you necessarily need to spend $50,000 on flowers for your event to be memorable. There are other, elements that you can incorporate. You can do it on a smaller scale. Events are just really about the people and knowing who your audience is and just making it so that it's enjoyable and memorable for everybody, all parties involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, speaking of the whole magician thing, it's interesting because I've actually started to see that more magicians and mentalists actually at events that we are at.
Oh,
And it
yeah?
seems like they work. Yeah, it seems like it works. That's a really good pairing, because they kind of roam around and entertain smaller groups of people during cocktail hours or before our show and things like that. And it just works really nicely because it's not something that's like a total distraction on either end.
Right.
It's like if
Right.
someone's over at a cocktail table in a different room getting entertained by a magician, great,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's just added bonus to what's happening at that event. So it's interesting you bring that up.
I
That's
know, and it's
yeah.
actually, now that we're talking about this, it's sort of a full circle moment for me because I'm thinking about my bat mitzvah when I was 12 years old, which was decades ago. And, we had a very modest celebration for me. And I remember my parents just telling me that, they hired a DJ, there was going to be like dancing and whatnot. And I remember asking for a magician at my bat mitzvah because I had seen this really talented magician roaming in this theme park where I grew up in Pittsburgh, and he was incredible. And I think it just dawned on me. I mean, maybe that's why I work in this field, but I remember telling my mom to hire him, and he was the only source of entertainment other than music at my bat mitzvah. And I have people who attended that who still talk about it. So I think that just we all just want engagement. We're so
Totally.
busy on our phones, on social media, behind our screens that having that real interactive piece actually feels somewhat unique now.
Totally. Well, and I think that that's, a lot of drawing back to the party that we did for you guys. I think that's like a lot of probably why people talk about it is because of the interaction and engagement with the guests. That was a
Right.
very personal party that we were really, partying with you guys with the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
chairs and the people dancing at the pianos and all the stuff. Like that was a very personal, time. So I think that that is really what makes things special in a lot of
Yeah.
events. Also because it's not just partying, there's not just like someone doing something. It's like we're incorporating the audience into the show. And it's not just about the guest, it's about, or not just about the host or just one person. It's like we're getting everyone involved.
So
So,
everyone has a little piece of it.
hmm yeah. And I think that's a big part of it. So, someone that's just starting working on their planning journey, what is some advice that you've offered them?
So, the number one question that I always get asked in terms of planning is how do you find your clients? Because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I'm in the service industry. I, have a network of people because I've been working in it so long. So my biggest piece of advice is to essentially just always be networking, whether it's, if you're sitting in your nail salon and just telling the manicurist that this is what you do. And, you know, for me, I get a decent amount of clientele from the parents of kids that go to school with my kids. And just always making sure you're engaging with people and leaving a good impression. It's there's a real like sales element to this. And it's interesting cuz I don't have a social media presence. I have a website. I don't post pictures from events. I mean, maybe I will someday because on my side of it too, I also want my book of business and my clientele to be people that I know or know of or was introduced to. So it's just, for me, it's always been about relationship building. I think if you're just getting your start, it might be difficult to immediately go off on your own. So, years and years ago, I freelanced for a wedding planner. I got to meet some of her vendors, and I just really saw the brass tacks of the events world. And so I think that there is value in trying to shadow somebody who's been in the industry and can teach people hands-on, how to execute and plan and budget for events.
Yeah, for sure. What about client wise if they're just starting? Like
Client
what would you advise, clients that are just starting to plan their event as a planner yourself?
I think that you need to create a list of priorities for the event. The top three, in my opinion, depending on what the event is, if we're talking about a corporate event, I always tell people, corporate or personal, the number one thing you need to do is lock down a venue because they can get booked up quickly. You want to have that as your home base so that you know exactly where it's going to be, and then you can just build off everything from there. So I usually tell people, let's figure out the venue. Let's get that locked in. Then let's figure out the entertainment, whether it's dueling pianos or a DJ or a band or a jazz trio, and then guest list so that you can figure out how many people you're going to have attending the specific event. But like hands down, that's my top three.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of remember, I think that you were pretty on it with getting everything locked in. It was not one of those let's talk about dueling pianos for a year from now and then we'll wait 6 months and then we'll talk another 2 months and then I seem to remember it was pretty, you were like, we want to do this, great, let's move forward, let's get it locked in. And I see that a lot with people that, and I don't know the reasoning. Maybe you could help answer this reasoning for me. But people start to plan an event and they're going to do it. And then they wait months and months and months. And I don't understand like why you would want that stress hanging over your head. And also the reasoning for waiting so many months to then not be able to potentially get the things that you wanted, you know?
Do you want me to tell you why?
I would love to know why, actually. This is outside of the podcast. I'm just curious because
Money. It's always down to finances. It's always down to finances. So I was eager and ready to book you because I am a dinosaur in this field. So now it sort of just comes naturally. I've been doing this for so long. I know exactly what I want. And I have a general sense of price for certain things. You know, bands come at a certain cost, jazz trios come at a certain cost, DJs come at a certain cost. So I think that the hesitation amongst people is they're probably trying to do their own market research to figure out, okay, I want to hire this dueling piano duo. They're amazing. And then they get a quote from you and they're like, oh my God. And so I think they, start to shop around, enter panic mode, and then realize that, you really get what you pay for, especially when it comes to music. And then by the time they come back to you, it's too late. So I always tell people the beauty of having an event planner is that it is, more than me just coordinating your floral vendors and your dance floor and your plateware and invitations. Like, I am your personal advisor. I can tell you off the bat a price range for everything. So there is real value in having somebody who is just budget conscious and has a sense of what the standards are in the industry right now.
and that's the consultant side of your business.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It still is interesting to me that people do things the way that they do,
I
but
know.
you
I
know,
know.
can't help it. So
Yes.
yeah, that is interesting. So is there anything else that makes your service unique other than all the other things that we've talked about, since we're kind of leaning into that question?
I think that what makes me unique is that because I've spent so much time working for hospitality companies or standalone restaurants and venues, I have both perspectives. I know how much price range, a venue is going to cost off the bat. If you presented me with a venue, I could tell you how much it is before you even presented it to me. Um, and the knowledge on how to negotiate some of that pricing down, which I'm not going to say on the air because that's an industry trade secret that I've worked at.
Hmm.
And, just also living in Los Angeles as, being here for 15 years, I really know the landscape of the city. So I can tell you exactly which part of the city you should have your event in. So I think between all of that, it's a really special superpower that I've honed.
Yeah. Is this kind of, what you were mentioning about the LA aspect of being in this industry, or does that lead somewhere else?
No, I would just say that I mean for me I really like to plan events in LA. I've done events in other cities and luckily it's very easy to research, locations or if I've been there before, I can give pointers on it. The difference now, I would say, with working with different vendors is vendors are more willing to travel to other cities too. So I would say, like years ago, if somebody was planning an event in Hawaii, for example, they would, find a location in Hawaii and then they would also have to source music there, decor there, rentals. And now what I'm learning or what I know is that I could have an event in Hawaii and bring an entire team from Los Angeles. And these are trusted vendors who I've worked with who, I know exactly what I'm going to get with them. And that's another thing that can just really elevate your event.
That's a really interesting perspective to hear about, being that I live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the pros and the cons of both. There's
Yeah.
there's one aspect where it's like, yes, certain things definitely, if you know of a really good vendor, sometimes it's a good choice to use
Oh,
them
yeah.
versus someone
Oh,
else
yeah.
who isn't going to work with you very well,
Oh, yeah.
in
And
a certain location that's underserved. But I
yeah,
also have seen,
that's a huge advantage is to like vendor relationships are just as valuable as my client relationships.
yeah, totally. Yeah. I saw a really interesting event that was outside of this and unrelated to Felix. So I think that I can talk about this. They flew in a whole team. This was a crazy event. They flew in a whole team to manage this entire event. The client, flew in all the planners and all of the people that were doing all the things. A huge team from Miami to Hawaii. And this team of people, I'm sure puts on great events that are very successful all over, was not really aware of where they came to. And so, they were asked day of the event, it's like, or day before, well, what do you mean? We want all of these other things. And it was like, those things don't exist on an island. Like, it's not, you can't just turn around and, just let me get the other massive semi truck full of items that we just have in the back lot. Like, and, demand that we'll go get it. It's like, well, I don't have it, but no one has it. Like, there's no one, you can't get this here unless you were to ship it out on a container. Like, good luck. Like, I don't know what. So, I mean, there are advantages on some level to like have some boots on the ground and know things, but I also have seen, people bring out their vendors, whether it's photographers or videographers and things from the mainland, and have really good success, and those things go really well. So I definitely see positives to that, and the vendor relationships, because if you have people on the ground and you have those relationships with people in different places, you can get better knowledge of how things run. So
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah, cool. Well, any other things that you wanted to chat about? I know that you had a special offer for this podcast for anyone listening.
Oh, yeah. So I typically will do a complimentary 15-minute consult with new clients, just whether it's, assistance with in-venue management needs or social events. But I am extending a complimentary 30-minute consult for your viewers. Happy to talk to any of you about any event needs that you might have.
Great. Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining, Lauren. It was really, really great chatting with you. And I'm sure that we'll connect again and see each other soon.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.